Well, every Saturday we focus on helping you pick the right teams if you're betting on the NFL. And our experts' perspective isn't based on gut feelings, but analytics. So let's start things off by bringing in the host of the Bet the Board podcast. Payne Insider joins us from Vegas once again. Payne, good to have you with us once again.
Appreciate you having me. How's everything going tonight, Steve?
All is well. I think a lot of the focus is on David Wright tonight, but we will be focusing, at least for our sports betting fans, on how we're going to be flowing the money tomorrow in the NFL games. And I feel like Week 4 is a real pivotal part of the season because I feel like by Week 4, we start to see what these teams really are. And people are buying into teams like Tampa Bay. I mean, the Bears are 3-point home favorites to Tampa, but Ryan Fitzpatrick has thrown 400-plus in every game this year. However, the Bears lead the league in quarterback pressures. Does Tampa come back to earth?
The more data we have, the better. And the NFL is a small sample size sport, so that's always gives you some trouble at times. And we did see some struggles from Fitzpatrick and Todd Monken's offense on Monday night against the Steelers in the first half. And I think Vic Fangio's defense is by far the toughest test the Buccaneers have faced to this point in the season. But I do think Tampa will have some success here, right? This Bears defense, it's good, but they have faced one of the easiest schedules of opponent offenses this season. They faced Seattle. They faced Arizona. There's also some injuries to that secondary this week for the Bears as well. I think the interesting angle here is if the rest of the Buccaneers players want Ryan Fitzpatrick to be their starting quarterback like they claim, this would feel like an all-in effort here, trying to win him the job moving forward. We know he's done a fantastic job, right? Right now he's averaging 10.8 yards per pass attempt. That's number one in the NFL. Tampa has 14 explosive passes in 3 games. They're 6th in passing success rate. If Tampa can get any help from their defense, which it looks like they're going to have Vita Vea, their number 1 draft pick, back this week, and a few members return in the secondary as well, taking 3 could have some value here.
The ball has bounced Tampa's way this year, and sometimes you have years that happens. All right, the Dolphins, 6.5-point underdogs to New England, and Vegas says nearly 60% of the tickets are on the Patriots, but 70% of the money is on Miami. Does that make the Dolphins a sharp bet?
Steve, you're spot on here. At +7, there was professional money on the Dolphins, and I know it's scary, fading Brady and Belichick off back-to-back losses, but pro bettors look at the metrics, they look at the analytics, and they all point to Miami. Right this minute, the Dolphins are a positive .8 yards per play through 3 games. New England is a negative .8 yards per play. When you look at what New England is doing on offense, they faced a below-average schedule of opposing defenses, yet they're averaging just 5 yards per play. That's the lowest output for a New England offense since 2003. And when you look at the other side of the ball, New England's defense, they're really lacking team speed. And when you go against Miami, they are filled with speed at the receiver position. Now, you do get Trey Flowers back. You do get Patrick Chung back for that New England defense, and it feels like desperation mode. But right now, as you alluded to, the Dolphins are the professional side this week, especially at 7. That's the key in this, right? That's a key number. You need 7 if you are backing the Dolphins this week.
You can get all of his insights by downloading his Bet the Board podcast, Payne Insider. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Appreciate it, Steve.
All right, so let's bring in the co-host of Fantasy BFFs on Fantasy Sports Radio, Frank Stanfill, in studio with us. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you heard what Payne had to say about some of those games, and I kind of want to start with that Patriots game because it's really interesting to me. All of the betting stats favor the Patriots, but as he said, the pro bettors are on the Miami side. How do you balance those two?
Yeah, I do think it's interesting, right? And Payne brought up great analytics, great stats that back the Miami Dolphins right now. I question the Miami Dolphins and the schedule that they've faced to this point, right? They beat a Jets team. They beat the Oakland Raiders. I'm just not necessarily buying into that. And if you look at history, too, with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, the last 5 times that they've come off back-to-back losses, their average margin of victory in that next game is 22.2 points. Now, they are getting Trey Flowers back. They are getting Patrick Chung back. Those things are absolutely going to help the New England Patriots. But overall, I'm just not buying into this Miami Dolphins team right now, Steve. So I think this is a get-right spot for the Patriots. Honestly, I do agree that if you're going to bet on them, do it now while the Patriots are laying 6.5. You're getting that touchdown. But honestly, I would understand if you look at it and just say, stay away.
by the end of the season, they're going to be double-digit favorites, and you're not going to be getting those extra 7 points. Here's where I'm glad you're here, is because I think that you can really break down what these analytics mean when you see all of these numbers. Like, for instance, here, the Jets opened up a 9-point favorite, or I should say 9-point underdogs to Jacksonville, but the line has now moved to 7.5. However, the over-under is 38.5. All right, those numbers don't really jive. Explain that to us.
Yeah, so this is something that stands out to me this week, especially from the odds makers, right? The odds makers know it all. I'm not going to dispute the odds makers, but something doesn't add up when this is the lowest game total on the slate at 38.5 points, as you mentioned, yet they're expecting the Jaguars win by more than a touchdown this week. I'm with you. It just doesn't add up. And I think the way that the money is coming in also shows you that, the sharp bettors agree with that. And they're getting the points right now with the New York Jets. So, look, this Jets team is not as bad as people think they are. A colleague that I work with, Gabe Morency, he is a professional bettor, and I respect him. He talks a lot about perception versus reality. Yes. And perception right now is that the Jets just lost to the Cleveland Browns. They gave them, their first win in a very, very long time. So, and they're 1-2. So I think that the perception right now is that this Jets team is not very good. They're going on the road to face a very, very strong Jaguars defense. Sam Darnold, he's a rookie quarterback. He played 3 games in 11 days. I think Todd Bowles and the Jets bounce back. I'm not saying that they win the game, but I think they cover the 7.5 points, Steve.
You're saying that they're better than what a lot of people say they are. They're better than their perception. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's how you define sharp money. That's how you figure out where the professional bettors are throwing their money. In fact, sharp money is on both New York teams. The Giants, 3.5-point home dogs to New Orleans. And professional bettors love home dogs, don't they?
Yeah, and they should, because if you look at the history throughout the past 25 years, betting home dogs has been profitable. And so far this season as well, just last week, betting home dogs was 3-0. They were 3-0 against the spread. They're 9-4 on the season. What people like to bet on, the public rather likes to bet on, is the sexy pick, the sexy team, right? And if you look at it, if you look at some of those road favorites this week, Carson Wentz, the Philadelphia Eagles, they're Super Bowl champions. Patrick Mahomes, who's on pace to throw for 70 touchdowns this year. Everyone wants to choose those teams. And Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints, everyone loves Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas. It's just not the attractive pick to want to go ahead and bet on the Giants and teams like the Broncos and teams like the Tennessee Titans. But it's been profitable throughout the past 25 years. History shows us that, and it's been profitable so far this season as well.
But I would like to show the flip side of it, and you mentioned that Kansas City game against the Denver Broncos. The line is at 4.5. The Broncos are home dogs to Kansas City. Are you a little bit more comfortable taking a road favorite when that team is number 1 in offensive efficiency, like the Chiefs?
I think that certainly helps, right? And I wouldn't want to, who wants to bet against Patrick Mahomes right now? To me, this is probably a stay-away game. But if you look at the recent trends with the Denver Broncos, they're 5-2 against the spread in the last 7 times that they've been home dogs. It's a tough place to play. Mile high with Patrick Mahomes coming in. They have very strong pass rushers there with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. So I think they're going to make life a little bit difficult for Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying, he's not going to throw multiple touchdowns in this game. I certainly wouldn't bet against that. But to me, that's more of a stay-away game.
But he might need some oxygen. That's for sure.
that is for sure.
You could hear him on Fantasy Sports Radio. Frank Stanfield, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Stick around. We'll be right back.